Hi, I'm Corey Alford, and in this video I'll give a simple demonstration of the GPS capabilities in Android. I apologize for the size of the screen. If you watch it in full-size mode, you should be able to see everything just fine though. So the first thing you'll want to do is open up the Android manifest and add some permissions. I've added permissions for access find location and access internet. I'm using SDK version 23, which is the latest version. In this version, access find location also includes access course location, so I didn't need to add that permission. In older versions, you might need to add it. So now let's go to the main activity. I've added three private variables. The first variable is just an integer, a static integer name that's equal to 1, so it doesn't matter. The next two are a location manager object and a location listener object. So these are the important objects for dealing with GPS things. So in the onCreate method, you do super.onCreate and set content view. These are standard. And then you'll want to set your location manager. And you do that by calling get system service and in its parameter putting in context.location service. This is standard as well. There's not much to say about that. That's just how you get your location manager. The next thing we need to do is set our location listener object. So to do that, I've created a new location listener. Location listeners implement 4 different methods. They're on location changed, on status changed, on provider enabled, and on provider disabled. For the purposes of this tutorial, I didn't bother implementing the last 3. The only one I did was on location changed. So this function takes a location object, and all I've done is create a string that gets the latitude and longitude. And I do that by doing location.getLatitude and location.getLongitude. And then once I have this string, I just put it into a toast.makeText. So a toast is the little pop-up at the bottom of your Android device, which is just a little notification. Okay, so now that we've set our location manager and our location listener, what we have to do is attach this listener to the manager. So if you're using a SDK version less than 23, it's very simple. All you have to do is call one function, and you do that by location manager dot request location updates, and then it takes 4 parameters. First parameter, I've done location manager dot GPS provider. This is just where you're getting your GPS information. You could also do .network service here instead of .GPS provider, but I've chosen this one because it works better with the emulator. The second parameter is the time between updates in milliseconds. I've put 3000, which is 3 seconds. The third parameter is the distance between updates, and I put 10, and I assume this is in meters. And then the fourth parameter is our listener object, so I've just put our location listener there. Since I'm using SDK version 23, I had to wrap this in an if-else statement because SDK 23 and higher requires you to check permissions. So you can see I've done if the build is 23 or higher. Then I check for permissions, and I check whether the access find location permission is permission granted. And if it's not, then I call this request permissions function. The request permissions function simply opens a dialog that has allow and deny buttons. The result of this goes to a callback method called onRequestPermissions result. And you can see that I've overloaded it down here so that it can do what I want. So it takes the permission result, and then basically it just checks if it was granted, and if it was, then it calls that same line of code that I mentioned before that attaches the listener to the manager. And if permission wasn't granted, then it just does nothing. So that's only for SDK 23 and higher. Otherwise, you just need one line of code. So now that we've got that, we can run our application, and I have it open here. And then to input GPS coordinates, you'll want to hit Tools in your Android Studio, and then Android, and then Android Device Monitor. That will open your Android device monitor, and then you can click on Emulator Controller, and you'll see that it has fields for longitude and latitude at the bottom. So I can just change these to whatever, longitude 100, latitude -100, and when I send it, it should pop up as a toast here on our application. So send, and there it is, latitude -100, longitude 100. And we can change this to whatever we want, and it'll pop up. Uh, and this will work with the GPS updating itself in the real phone, but right now we're just sending it manually. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So I hope you learned a lot from this video, and thanks for watching.